guys try to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out. Two middle-aged guys try to work it all out.
Hey everybody, welcome to Two Middle-Aged Guys Trying to Work It All Out. This is not a normal episode. This is not a short or a mini or whatever you're going to call those little interstitial word I can't pronounce episodes. This is an emergency podcast, Chris. So if you could maybe put in like a siren sound here.
Okay.
Or you could just leave in me saying, put in a siren sound. This is an emergency. We have to stop what we are doing and talk about the new Disney Star Wars show, The Acolyte.
All right. Well, I watched it. I'm prepared. I heard the siren's call, siren's call is when you're on a ship and you're sung to a different island. So that's not what I heard. I heard the siren and I responded to it. So I'm here. Let's talk about The Acolyte.
Let's give a meaning of the word acolyte. It's not a word that is used commonly, and I think it's maybe a word that's kind of misused. So maybe we just frame the episode with a definition of acolyte. Acolyte just means follower.
Right.
It's not the same thing as apprentice, right? The word apprentice has been used in Star Wars. Maybe too much. Maybe that's why they didn't call it The Apprentice. Also, there was another, now that I say that, there was another show called The Apprentice. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that. Acolyte just means follower, right? And it could be a follower of a follower too, right? An apprentice can have an acolyte. So it's actually maybe the most, it's kind of an interesting title for a show in this context.
Sure, because you have all the baggage of, 9 Star Wars films and however many shows and blah, blah, blah. And you have a great knowledge of the Jedi Order and what that means in their hierarchy. So specifically calling it the Acolyte is interesting. And as we get into the discussion, I think that's intentional, and I think they're making efforts to point out that discrepancy or that difference, maybe.
Well, let me tell a little story about how I watched The Acolyte. So Tuesday, which is when it came out, we were in Central Time, so 8 o'clock Central Time, I had organized a pretty elaborate watch party. And, Chris, did you not get the invitation?
I did not, no.
Okay, all right. So I rented out a theater.
Wow.
Catering. Yeah, I spent an absolute ton of money. I had to borrow, last time you were over, I borrowed some of your credit cards. You probably didn't notice.
Okay.
But I used all of them.
I mean, it's a write-off, so it's fine.
Right. I mean, and even after I used all your credit cards, there was still some more that I had to borrow. But I went to the streets for that. The vig is high, but I thought it would be worth it, right? I'm going to have this big, the mayor was there, hundreds of guests. The food was incredible. So at 8 o'clock, I'm still greeting folks. They're still coming into the theater that I rented. And so the show had started, and I'm greeting folks like, we should, find our way to our seats. The show has started. It's streaming. I can't really rewind it. Because we're in a theater. Don't ask too many questions. As I'm trying to get to my seat, I look up. The show's been on for a few minutes. I look up, and Carrie Ann Moss's character has been killed. So then I cancel the watch party, and I send everyone home. And I haven't paid the caterers. I was, really excited for Matrix Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And within 5 minutes of the show starting, they kill the character who was most prominently featured in all of the promotional material for this show. And I was not surprised, but I was infuriated to the point where I threw about $12,000 of watch party expenses away. Now, this is a joke, of course. I did not have a watch party. I didn't spend a penny on this, but I did watch it when it came out. I started it like 10 minutes after 8 Central Time, and I was floored. I really, truly was. I guess I was more surprised than I'm letting on, but I should have expected it, I guess, but the character, all the promo materials, and let's have a dive into Master Indira, Carrie Ann Moss's character. And she dies, right away. And she dies in the most stupid fashion possible. Angry, I wanted to punch my television. I didn't, but I did shake my fist at it. I don't know. What was in the first 5 minutes, were you surprised by this? I guess we should say spoilers.
Yeah.
We probably should have said that up front, maybe when the sirens were going, spoilers.
So I was completely floored as well. And anger is the word that comes to mind, as much as one can be angry at a Star Wars streaming show.
Right, I mean, exactly.
Let's frame that up a little bit. But yeah, I was angry because you're absolutely right. In all of the marketing material, Carrie-Anne Moss was featured. This was supposed to be like the Jedi of the series. And even after I watched the 2 episodes, I thought, is it me? And I went back and I watched the trailer for the Acolyte as well. It's not me. Disney set this up. And I guess they were like, well, we know this is the only actress in the thing that's going to be that's going to draw people. So let's feature her, even though we kill her in the first 5 minutes. Now, I will say that Disney dropped a preview for episode 3. And in that preview, there is footage of Carrie-Anne Moss that was not in the first episode.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're going to get flashbacks.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's going to be a flashback situation or something like that, but that is not enough justification to me for this. I wanted to see Matrix Star Wars, like you were saying. I wanted to see Carrie-Anne Moss as a Jedi through this whole thing, doing cool Jedi things. And I'm obviously not getting that.
Yeah, flying around, Matrix Star Wars, crouching tiger, hidden Jedi type stuff, right? I've heard, I read that somewhere. I'm not going to take credit for it. But so... yeah, they kill her. Why? And I have not seen that episode 3 preview because, will I watch episode 3? I think that's maybe that's the thing we're going to try to figure out is, are we going to continue? But I was really like, oh, come on. But before that, though, there was an even more groan-worthy part when the Acolyte shows up and says, attack me with all your strength. I think she says it twice. And this is not by the way, you will hear this awful line more. And I was like, is that a joke? Because they're laughing. I'm like, okay, well, they're laughing because it's such a stupid thing to say. But then she says it again, and, I'm not going to attack you. I have no quarrel with you. And then at that point, I was like, oh, boy, this dialogue. Whoever they hired to write this, their children must have really helped. People joke about the prequel dialogue, because there's certainly some things in the prequel dialogue that, are you an angel? I don't like sand, right? I mean,
sure.
I mean, really, when it comes down to it, anything Anakin said was pretty bad. But this is far, far worse than the prequel dialogue.
I'm glad that you brought that up. And if you'll check your email, I sent something. This is actually from the 2nd episode of The Acolyte. I transcribed this word for word as I was watching it, and it's a conversation between 2 people, and I thought maybe we could borrow a page from our friends at 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. Sometimes they'll take sections of a book, and Connor will be one person, Mike will be the other person, and they'll kind of read it as a little bit of a performance. Would you do that with me now, Dave?
You bet, yeah. Do you want me to be A or B?
I want you to be character B, and I did not name them because we are doing some spoilers in this, but I don't want to do too many spoilers. I want people to still enjoy themselves.
Oh, this is important too.
Yes. So this is actual conversation between 2 characters from episode 2 of The Acolyte. I'm character A. I'm gonna start this out. Okay. Are you ready, Dave?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
And scene.
That's it. That was a scene.
That is an exchange from 2 characters in episode 2 of The Acolyte.
That scene awful. I was like, oh, well, this is an outtake. We're going to, sorry, cut. We left this in. Let's do it again. You want to try that again, actors? You forgot your lines and where you're supposed to be standing, what you're doing. Super awkward. This was like CW Disney Channel level live action acting and writing. I am very shocked that they were able to even cut together a trailer that made this look good. And I know you and I talked before it came out, and I said, this looks great. This looks better than anything they've made. I am very excited about this. And you tempered my expectations.
Well, yeah, I was very excited too. I thought the trailer looked great, and Carrie-Anne Moss. I was like, "Hey, neat casting choice. I'm excited to see this." But my comment to you was, I don't trust them, and I'm gonna hold judgment until I see it.
Yep.
And now
I went in with higher expectations, and I think I was probably way more like whoa. they can take something that looks really good, an idea that seems really solid, and just ruin it, just whiz it down their leg. It is unbelievable how bad this is. There's another exchange in episode 2 where one of the Padawans suggests something, and then one of the other Jedi suggests something, and they're deliberating it, and the Master Jedi says, "We will go with your plan, Padawan. It's a good one." And I'm like, wait, what? Well, okay, we're going with her plan. All right, okay. But let me just add, it's a good one. Okay, good. I was like, we're going with your plan. It sucks, but we're going to go with it and embarrass you and fail. First of all, it wasn't a very good plan. Second of all, who wrote that? I mean, was that a mistake? Did the actor just read it wrong? They're like, yeah, one take, we're fine. Like, cut, let's keep going. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. No, keep filming. We're good. It's like, tell him what you told him. Tell him what you're going to tell him. Tell him what you told him. Come back around, maybe summarize it, do it too long, didn't read, bullet point. I mean, there's so much of that. Like, the dialogue is so bad. Whatever prequel issues we have, I've become to look at The Phantom Menace as you know, high Star Wars, because it's so great, especially with a lot of folks comparing Son to Qui-Gon, which I get it. He does look the part. I think that, you know, that actor could probably do a Qui-Gon like character, but you know, what makes him Qui-Gon like? That he's calmer, that he seems to slightly question what the Jedi are doing. I think that's wishful thinking, right? I think we want a Qui-Gon character, so we're gonna like, okay, well, you're close and you've got long hair and.
Right. And I will say that I don't have a problem with any of the actors in this. They're just not given anything to work with. And so could Soul be a cool character? Yeah, he absolutely could be. But I don't think they're going to let him. I don't think they're going to give him material to make him a cool character. You know, Acolyte's got people that's like, okay, sure, this is my cast. I've got no problem with that. But they're not being fed material that they can work with, which I think was a problem with the prequels as well. I will say this, and this maybe is leading us into the trying to figure it out. I think that the plot is stale. I've seen this story many times outside of Star Wars. I think that the mystery that they're trying to build up is not interesting, but there was just enough there to make me say, okay, who is this bad guy? What is the motivation here? Is there a deeper story? Because I can't imagine a world where the reveals are strong enough that it makes everything else worth it. Now, just like with the trailer, I'm not expecting that to happen, but it is somewhat possible. So the answer to your question of will I watch episode 3? I will. I'm not looking forward to it. It's going to be more of a chore just to see what happens than anything. But, you know, I guess I'm in just to see how this thing resolves itself.
I will hate watch episode 3, which is not a term I use very often, but I'm just watching at this point so I can complain about it. It is really, really awful, and it is maybe the worst thing that they've produced in Disney Star Wars. Taken away from the actors and the script, did you think that the sets, and I realized that they did not use the volume for this, so I was expecting it to look more like a movie, right? They spent a fortune, like $20 million an episode. But it looked like, one person described, I was trying to figure out, what does it look like? Why does this look weird? And one person described that they look like they're walking through a theme park. I'm like, oh, that is perfect. Because I've been to, you know, like the Harry Potter worlds and stuff at Universal. I've not been to the new Star Wars thing, but it does have this sort of theme park feel, like it's real to a point, but you can see that it's also fake, right? It's obvious that it's a set. It looks uncinematic and cheap. And I don't know. I'm not trying to pick it apart. Like, if everything else was great, we wouldn't even mention that, right? But when it's all bad, and I mean, I think it's all bad. But my favorite part of it, though, I'm going to point out, which I just laughed and laughed, and this is a little mean, but in the second episode, they have the second Jedi Master that our Acolyte goes to kill, and he is a guy just floating in a Jedi temple. And I'm looking at this guy, and he's got like this kind of like short beard. He's got a receding hairline. He's got a weird scar on his face. He doesn't look good. He's got a bald spot. He does not look like a Jedi, right? And I'm like, man, is this guy okay? What is going on with this guy? He does not look healthy. And then what happens to the guy? We're going to go into spoilers if you've been listening. she basically convinces the guy to kill himself, which is the weird. I'm like, okay, what the heck is going on here?
Right.
What did these people do? Were they guards at Space Auschwitz or something? I mean, the level of guilt that they must be feeling to do the things that they're doing. They're monsters, obviously. So it has to really pay off for any of this to make sense. That she was able to. I mean, the fact that she was able to kill that Jedi Master Indara with her little knives was stupid. It made no sense. The best explanation is that Indara wanted to die, which doesn't. Why didn't she?
Right.
It's so dumb. And then the dude, who's clearly really ill, and maybe he was just, I'm just so sick. Look at this hairline. Look at this bald spot. Have you ever seen a Jedi with a bald spot?
No.
No. Mace Windu just shaved his head, right? Maybe he had one. Maybe we'll never know. But he was not healthy looking. There was also an overweight Jedi in that scene. I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Seriously? I don't know. Did you pick up on the overweight Jedi in the background?
I did.
Or he was...
yeah, and the floating Jedi guy who died, on that close-up after he's dead, I mean, man, you could see the spirit gum just like holding the beard on his face. Like the effects
so
were
bad.
so bad. Yeah. But, and that's kind of what I was alluding to when I said the story is tired, because like how many other shows have you seen where it's the group of army guys that's like, we burned the village in Saigon and
Right.
we're never going to recover from this kind of a story. And to take that and put it in Star Wars, like you said, if there is a world where it pays off and it's amazing and you're like, oh, I get it now. I just don't think we live in that world.
Yeah, it's these are Jedi Masters are supposed to be the best of the best. And whatever they did, if it was so bad, they were able to cover it up. I don't know. I don't think it's one way or the other. It's not going to pay off, right? If it was so atrocious, like, wow, how the rest of the Jedi didn't figure this out? Why didn't they just read their minds? If it was so bad that they're willing to, drink poison when faced with someone who was maybe one of their victims, still not clear. They're dealing with some issues. Like, I would just say, are the Jedi all clinically depressed? Because they look like they're super low energy, like, oh yeah, and kind of mumbly. Like, man,
they are trying to do this thing where it's thousands of years before Phantom Menace, so
there's 100 years.
Oh, it's only 100. I thought this was during the Old Republic.
This is High Republic.
Oh, okay. So in that case, that makes no sense as well, because the Jedi are being presented so differently than they were presented in Phantom Menace. So that's strange. I don't know. It's weird. I do agree with you about the way that the show looks. It's just not the caliber that we've come to expect. And maybe it's unfair to compare everything to Mandalorian, especially the first 2 seasons. But a show that fired on every single cylinder, and from what I understand, cost less than this show did. Like, I don't get it. I don't know who's greenlighting this stuff. I don't know. Well, I do know who's greenlighting this stuff, but I don't know what the quality control is. It's obviously not working. The show is frustrating. The whole thing we started off with the Acolyte and what that could mean. There's interesting duality in the show, although I am frustrated that our main characters are siblings. I mean, we've been there, we've done that. I'm frustrated that we can only go to Coruscant when it's a planet. We crash land on Hoth, even though it's not called Hoth. It's just like, golly, do we have to recycle everything over and over and over again? I'm finding that extremely frustrating in the Star Wars universe.
Well, yeah, in the Star Wars universe, every planet is a single biome, right? Mm-hmm. If I crash land on there's a jungle planet, there's the swamp planet, there's the ice planet, right? And I've just come to expect that. That's true of a lot of science fiction.
I just hope that we could get past it. I mean, we've got people at the helm who've grown up with the tropes. I don't know why we're continuing those tropes. And then the tropes that we're jettisoning are the tropes that I want to keep. Like, there's no opening crawl. There's no bombastic score. Like, these are the things that make Star Wars feel like Star Wars. And these are the things that the Acolyte's like, nah, we're not going to do that because we're edgy.
It's really pretty bad. And yeah, the fight scenes are different. And they do have that wushu style. Mm-hmm. And I thought the first one with Indira was pretty good, although it didn't really make sense because... a Jedi, they didn't like flip around and stuff unless they had to, right? I mean, I just think about like the Phantom Menace Duel of the Fates fight. That's the most perfect lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars. It will never be over. I mean, I don't think it's going to be superseded. But they use their fast run. They use their jumps. Right? They were judicious, but and all of a sudden, Indira is like, I got to get up the staircase. I need to fly up the staircase. Well, I mean, you could also just run up it. It would take you roughly the same amount of time. So it just felt like it was looking cool for the sake of looking cool, and all of a sudden, these Jedis have these new abilities, but they also can't do two things at once, like stop a knife going towards one guy, stop the knife that's going towards them, right? It doesn't make sense. That's kind of the thing, is that none of this makes any sense. And where it's going, I just don't see them being able to tie it together. I think that it will only get worse before it gets better. And I'm here to watch that so that I can complain about it and make jokes about it.
Sure, yeah. No, I don't know. And they like the thing about, like, you need to kill a Jedi without weapons. Like, okay, why? Is that going to be explained? Yeah. You know, is there something going on there? Or is your Sith master just a jerk, and he's just like, here's a reason, right, let's just do that. I don't know, I don't understand.
I'm going to give you increasingly difficult tasks because I don't know actually how to lead, and so I'm just going to, making you fail is part of it. But that doesn't make any sense, right? If you can kill a Jedi Master, period, right? It doesn't matter whether you've got, that was the sort of high watermark of a warrior.
Yeah.
And now you got to do it without a weapon? Oh, come on. And you're just an acolyte. You're not even an apprentice. You're just a follower.
Yeah, and when they complete that, it's like, very good. Now you must kill a Jedi with a broom. And it just keeps going on and going on. No. It's like,
You need to sell them a timeshare before you kill them. Like, what? Or you need to trick them. It's the only way. I want you to trick them into buying a timeshare. And then as they realize that look across their face that they've made a very bad long-term financial decision, then you can kill them with his broom.
These are very specific requests that you're making of me.
Right. Yoda owes me money, or Oda. You don't know Oda, but you will. Yoda owes me money. That's really what this gets down to, is he's like, man, Yoda's been spending a lot of time at the space track on Space Track Planet, where they have all the racing. It's the only thing they do there is racing. Just like on Canto Bright, yes. The only thing they do is gamble. Oh,
they've got a surplus of planets in that galaxy. They're just picking them off and doing individual things.
Right, they're highly specialized. Like, what's your thing? Oh, I do this. My planet is just really into. I don't know. Like, I mean, are they going to get more ridiculous with it? We're really into Halloween. This is a Halloween planet.
That would tie in with Disney branding. It's probably coming.
Excuse me, Life Day Planet. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what Life Day is, well, you're lucky, I guess.
Don't look it up.
Don't look it up. It's a Star Wars thing. It will put you down a rabbit hole, and you'll realize that mistakes were being made even in 1978, 79, whenever that came out.
Yes, indeed. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say about the Acolyte. I mean,
it really isn't good.
No, when the show's over, I think we'll do I don't know if it'll be an emergency or just a short or whatever, but we'll kind of break it down. But
yeah, we'll come back to it. We should. But I will watch it. I've committed to watching it. There's 6 more episodes. I'm curious to see where this goes. If there is anything that is so bad these Jedis did that warrants this level of level of guilt, and that they've all, I don't know. I mean, well, Carrie-Anne Moss's character, she was hanging out in a bar drinking. Maybe that's it. Maybe she became a Jedi alcoholic. I don't know. There's still some things to be uncovered with this, I guess. But if we get anything in innovation out of this, I would be surprised. It just makes me question. Yeah, you said who's greenlighting this? We know Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, right there. She's running the ship, but he's the creative guy, and I have no confidence in Dave Filoni. But I actually think this is bad for even him.
Yeah,
I think this is worse than Ahsoka, and Ahsoka was bad.
I agree.
But this was worse because Ahsoka had a lot of constraints, and this doesn't have those constraints. This is like this is a green field. They could have done almost anything. They had 100 years to say, well, this is why what we did doesn't matter.
Right. And one thing about Ahsoka that I talked about in our Star Wars episode, it looked phenomenal. The production design was on point. The sets, the effects, the costuming, it looked so good. And this looks so bad.
Yeah. It looks cheap. The Star Wars Holiday Special looked cheap too. Maybe go back and say, okay, this looks like it was shot on video. Maybe we can. I have nothing else to say. It is what it is, and at some point, Disney's going to have a reckoning and say, wow, what we're doing is not working. But it's going to require a lot of honesty from them that they haven't been in self-reflection, that they haven't been able to pull yet.
I don't think that's coming for a long time, because I don't think Disney's listening to stuff like this. I don't think they're listening to Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think they're listening to the AV Club or reviews, or certainly not two middle-aged guys trying to work it all out. What Disney's listening to is the fact that Acolyte was their #1 launch on Disney Plus of 2024.
Yeah, but they put the Star Wars name on it. People are going to watch it until they don't.
So that's what it's going to take. It's going to take running it into the ground so hard that people don't tune in anymore. And then it's going to go on a 20-year hiatus. And then somebody's going to come in and say, hey, I want to do something else with that Star Wars property again. And they'll do something that truly is innovative and creative, and it'll reignite. So that's the trajectory I think that we're on. It's a sad trajectory.
The Marvel level burnout. And that's where we are with Marvel, right? Where people are just like, I've not watched it in the theaters anymore, and I'll try to watch it at home. But if it's not very good, I'll turn it off. That's where I am. And it's gotten to that point with Star Wars. If a Star Wars theatrical movie was to come out, I would probably wait for it to stream at this point.
It would take a lot to get me in the theater. I'll say that. Anyway, let's wrap up this emergency episode. I will say once again, Kathy Kennedy, Dave Filoni, I'm here. I'll write you some scripts. I can't do any worse. Let me have a shot at it. But until then, we'll just keep streaming whatever they tell us to stream, I guess.
All right, yes. And I hope, but can I mention one thing?
Sure.
The twins who are the good and the bad guys, in this played by the same actors, that they did not know each other existed and had the same hairstyle, to me is, really just one of those things that I'm like, oh, well, you have the same hairstyle, same hair color. Fantastic.
The fact that the evil twin did not know the good twin was alive, that baffled me. Like, I did not expect that to happen.
What?
Yeah, no, the good twin not knowing the bad twin, that's tropey. That's been done a million times. But the fact that neither of them knew about each other was really weird. And there are a few setups in the show that I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but they don't do anything with them. And I don't think that they will do anything with them. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it, and I'll be glad that I'm wrong, because that means it will be a better show because of it. But right now, I don't have a lot of faith.
All right. Well, 6 episodes from now, we'll be coming back and wrapping this up.
The first emergency episode of TMAG.
First emergency episode. Check us out at 2middleageguys.com. That's the numeral 2, middleageguys.com on Facebook. 2 Middle-Aged Guys. We have a Facebook page, YouTube. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to us. If you're already listening to us, you probably know that, though.
That's probably a good point.
Hit that like and subscribe. Smack that button. Hit that bell. I don't know exactly what the bell does. I think it tells you. I don't know. But just keep smacking it over and over. I think that's good for us if you hit it many times.
Yeah, that's going to help the algorithm.
Does that? Maybe you unsubscribe the second time. Hit it just once, folks. I'm taking back all of my smacking of bell advice.
Or they can hit it an odd number of times. That would be acceptable.
That's true. Yep, odd number of times. Just count. Now we've convinced everyone to not hit the bell. I don't even know what that does. I just hear it on my other podcasts. All right. We'll talk later, folks. Thank you.
Goodbye.